Thank you for being here with me. If somebody can give me a thumbs up in the chat that the sound is good, I want to make sure that's good. And we'll get right down to business. I was saying that maybe I was thinking, what's the main goal? There's so many goals we can have about our practice. One of the main ones, and perhaps the main one for me, and it could be different for you, and it's important to know or to ponder if you're not clear, why do you do this practice? And it certainly is for me multiple reasons. The main one is to remind myself and get more and more in touch with my true self. And when I use that term true self, I wonder, like, what do sometimes I think, what is it I mean by that term? I'll just get rid of this. And when I say that, you can think, what does that mean for you? Maybe it's clear, maybe it's kind of hazy. And as I said, maybe that's not your purpose. If you hear the scratching in the background, this is my yoga space, but it's also where the cat litter boxes are, so hidden. So you might hear that Tommy scratching. So let's get right into the practice, and I'll talk a little bit more about my theme today, which is actually not the true self part, but that's like my intent generally. Cosmic Mudra. This mudra is my theme, but I'll get to that in a moment. Let's arrive. Let's transition from what we have been doing, the various activities that perhaps we did with the mindfulness that brings us right to our true self. But a lot of times it's fragmented or even not at all connected with our true feeling of who we are, true knowing of who we are. Sometimes I would say that when we're so immersed in an activity, we're not thinking at all. We're actually right in line with our true self, with that essence. I like that word as well, our essence, our being with a capital B, our presence with a capital P. So arriving. I don't know why this image comes to me so frequently about with this in this directive of arriving is as if a spider is out crawling around on her web, and then she comes back to the middle. It's a centering of sorts. Just right here. And sometimes it's helpful to use your hands to touch the ground. Today's focus in our mini movement will be a lot about the hands. So thank you for being here, for arriving, for being capital P and little p present with me, with all of us. Lauren, I think you were signed up. I'm not sure if that's who's here in the real time or someone else. And many of you visit later. And Catherine, I've been missing you. We need to catch up and chat. Feel free to drop me a line, aLex@sunandmoonstudio.com. But now let's come back to this feeling of the ground, how our body registers the ground. And just this plot of real estate right here that you're sitting on. And when we bring our attention to right here in a very physical way, but also our other senses, and our mind is online for this, it really helps us to connect with that presence. It's a fabulous way. And that's why we have so many tactile things that help remind us. Sometimes our jewelry or our bracelets or necklaces or beads help remind us. Sometimes a poem in our pocket helps bring us back. And start to take in more and more of your body. So the parts that are touching the ground, feel the ground, but also the stacked, if you're sitting or if you're lying down, the higher up in the air parts, um, your chest or your back, whichever is not in the ground. If you happen to be standing, just the soles of your feet are touching the ground, but the rest of you feels the stackedness in gravity, the positioning, the relationship between the parts. Feel. It takes a little more time. Our body, coming to communicate with our body is a little slower than our mind. This is something my teacher said. He didn't say if there's, it's sort of I sense it empirically from my experience that to come to really attend to what's happening in my body is slower than attending to my thoughts. Thoughts are super quick. What I'm getting at is I think there might be even some studies about this. But we can study ourselves. We can know for ourselves, which is such a huge gift of yoga and these Eastern arts. And we sense our breath. And in sensing our breath, perhaps you want to put your hands on the belly. I've got one hand on the upper belly. I think I'll go one hand upper belly, one hand lower belly. But you could do chest, you could do throat, you could do forehead. I may move around. So ground, second, one of the second, not necessarily in this order, is breath to help. One of the cues I use to help me come to presence. Check in. Hello, breath. Hello, my dear breath who sustains me, who brings the life force into me and shares it outward. Pretty naturally, you may feel where the breath might be feeling impeded in some ways. Could even move an arm to the back body to sense how the breath is moving in and out there. We'll come back to sensing our breath and touching to feel the breath, feel pulsation, rhythm of our body. And then let's take a little tiny movement. We'll come into mini movement while we take the third part where we bring our arms wide, go into a twist. My twist is super limited as I did something was done to me yesterday, just twisting side to side and with the arms out in space to feel the space around, and to take in the sound, the sound and space around that is part of our being. So we are not separate from the air around us. And as I look out, I have the trees outside, the house next door. So arms moving through space as you twist side to side, as you let your head and eyes also go to the side. Maybe then letting head and eyes go opposite. This is a really good, like we wring out a cloth, we go the counter movements. We can do that with our two twists, adding two twists. And the eyes can go deeper. And at the same time, as we're feeling space around, we're aware of breath and we're aware of ground. And you can go a few more times if you like, or you can pause, come back to center, and just now arrive again at a still point or toward a still point. And take another moment as you might feel that we've already quieted down. We're already a little more here, a little more of us is here, a little more of our attention, our energy. Our body's been here the whole time, but our various sensings might be more here. There is ways to measure that in our brain waves if you're interested in the scientific part of that. And take a moment to, as I invited earlier, to just ponder what's important for you about this practice. Why do you take the time to do it? And even why is it important? Why do I think it's important? I'll let you feel that for yourself. Perhaps it's not important. Doesn't feel important. I had that invitation from meditation teacher Adyashanti. And at times I would be like, okay, so yeah, sort of get it, but why? Like, why was he pointing toward that? Okay, now another little movement with our hands as you identify that. Like as I shared in the beginning, for me, one of it is essence, and that connecting with my essence. But it's also important for some physical reasons, health and nervous system reasons, for community. And now bring one hand to the side of your face or neck and just rest it there as if you're in a self-caring kind of hello there, cheek, neck, ears. Just rest it there and maybe touch different parts and rest and kind of take in and say hello. This may feel rather strange. Side of the head. And so I've chosen my left hand, which is not my dominant, but doesn't matter. But just stay on the same side for now. I'm going to come down to the upper chest. And you can notice, I like to leave the discovering a lot to you. What happens as you give yourself this touch when we hurt ourselves, when we bang something, bang a knee? A lot of times we take our hand right there. Our hand has literally has an energetic field. It also has this intention of care of, oh my, oh dear one. Same side, so stay on the same side. And then pause a moment. Maybe the two sides feel different now from that little bit. One side got attention, the other didn't. And now take the same hand you were using, my left, and I'm going to bring it over to the right side. The same, saying hello, touching, caring, sensing, listening. Sometimes staying a little longer, perhaps as curiosity is there. So just like the neck, upper shoulders, upper chest, side of the head, even toward the back of the head. And note, this may feel very different from the first part of this where we touched the same side. And then let it go. And just come back to being right here. Really the only place we can ever be. And listen for anything that comes. Some of it may feel like wonderful and in line with what we think this practice should be, the calm feeling of our body, a more and more quiet mind. And some of it may feel like, oh, distractions, like thoughts, things, unwanted things. And I invite you to entertain all of it, to not push any of it away. Entertain, like, as in not so much engage with it, but be the host or hostess for this. Even if it's in a more distant way, like out in the yard or on the on the street in a neutral place, not necessarily entertaining in your own home, maybe in the you rented out a space in a restaurant or a park. Entertaining it all. So I've been promising to talk about the mudra I use as we slide toward our meditation part of our practice. I often consult one of my favorite books, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. There's a chapter on posture, and it's very specific in the Zen tradition. One of the aspects is the cosmic mudra, where we place the left hand into the right so that the middle knuckle of the middle fingers align lightly, and then the thumbs touch lightly as if holding a paper between them. And then you lower it so that it's just in front of your, I'll stand up, just in front of your, just my thumbs are about just a little lower than my belly button. And your arms are relaxed, but it's as if you're holding something very precious, like an egg, in your armpits lightly. And there's a way to do this where it feels very effortless. There's a little bit, I sort of leaning the pinky side of my hands against my belly. And it may not feel so effortless at first, but you could try it if this appeals to you. And one of the benefits of doing this, having this mudra and attending to it during our practice, our meditation practice, is that light touch of the thumbs and the very specific positioning of the fingers, knuckles, and the hand in front of the lower dantian, the lower belly, is that if our attention lapses and we're off drifting somewhere else and not here in our attention, in our consciousness, then the hands will show us. So if you're checking in frequently to feel the mudra, almost like on the side, you're monitoring it like there's a TV screen in your mind that's checking, and it does take a slight effort. Like that monitor could be up there and you'll be off drifting, not watching the many monitors on your security guard screens in your booth. And then you're like, oh yeah, I have this job, I'm supposed to be monitoring. But in a more and more like effortless way, it's just the eye just catching it. And then when you do catch yourself with something that seems unwanted, or in a place that we're not here, can we meet ourselves there without punishment, without judgment, with just a celebration, in fact, that I'm back. I never actually left, but my attention roved. So with all that, let's begin our meditation. I don't have my bell close, but it doesn't work so well on this YouTube portal anyway. I've got my timer. And so maybe you haven't needed to move, but if you need to move and stretch just for a few seconds before taking the stillness for about 8 minutes. And then arrange your posture. And maybe it's a lying down posture, maybe it's standing. Walking meditation is a thing, but the seated meditation, the stillness, is a very rich part of this. Set the mudra. Perhaps you prefer your hands on your legs, on your belly. That's fine. I was just offering this particular choice. There are many, many choices to help tether us. So let's begin in earnest. Enjoy your journey, as my teacher Russell says. You might lightly touch into the tools of ground, breath, sound, and space around, to tether, to bring you back when you feel like you're lost or wandering and not here. You may check on your chosen hand positioning. Mudra means a seal, a particular circuit of energy. And really, it's just simply the meditation is simply being here in stillness, in silence, listening, resting, being with our own being. Getting more and more familiar with that capital P presence that we are and that we can never not be. And the more we, I'll say, reside there as we do what we do, the more truly aligned we are with our own purpose, dharma, being, our particular and the universal. And this practice in stillness helps us to know this more firmly, more steadily. Sometimes you can be curious about and wondering about where could I relax more? Just tiny, tiny adjustments to let that be. A lot of times it's more letting go than a doing of anything. So often, what can be useful is a backward step, retreat, just taking a step back. Our minds are very frequently propelling us forward, and we're already then enmeshed with something. So unravel and just take a step back where the perspective is a little bigger. reconnecting, but really that's not quite accurate. Our attention or consciousness is reconnecting with that of us that is the universal, that essence of us that is, I shouldn't say part, it's the all of us. And we are the unique and specific expression of that, as the wave is the expression of the ocean, to quote many, many sages. You may find that your breath gets quieter, shallower, just natural in stillness. A few more breaths together. Now, as we transition, just be alert to the transition, even as you stay relaxed. Even if you intend to keep sitting on your own there, that's fine. But it's very good to mark. I do it with a bow. You can do it with a deeper breath. However you like, mark that this is formally the end of our practice. That is a helpful connection for taking what we do on the cushion into our life, that we're full of transitions in our doing, and that we mark them, honor them, but we still realize that we're always in touch with our essence we can be. So how many times did you celebrate when you came back from your mind roving? Hopefully you did quite a lot, to remember to kind of stay relaxed at that and not be, it's just so natural for the mind to wander, and it's not a problem at all, actually. It's painful to ourselves if we're always in the state of a wandering mind, so we can know that we have these tools to learn to come back more and more. So Mudra was the one of the themes today, and that one of our purposes here can be, or that you should become more aware of what your intent is for these practices. And one of the strong ones for me, maybe the strongest, is to reconnect with our essence. And as I said, reconnect isn't even an accurate word for it, because we're always already connected. It's just that we become conscious of that essence is there. Thank you so much. See you next week. And next week I may talk about some other aspect of the posture from Shunryu Suzuki's book, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. My Anjali Mudras always looks like it's not at center here. I have this confusion of, I'm seeing myself left and right reversed, and I don't even get to see you, but I see that somebody's there. So thank you so much for being there with me, and see you next time. Ciao, ciao.